Good morning students. Let's see the continuity of D block elements. Okay. So here we are discussing about properties of transition elements. Already we discussed about magnetic properties. Okay. And now we go for formation of complex compounds by transition elements. So D block elements are called as transition elements. Okay. So now what is complex compounds? Complex means simply a big type of molecules. It consists number of atoms, number of groups. Okay. So let's see. So let us take simple example regarding complex compounds here. Simple K4 FeC and taken 6. Okay. So name of this complex, it is a complex. I will give the definition also. Let's see the brief explanation regarding this. It is a complex compound. This is square bracket. You should have to mention like this only. We have the separate topic in this coordination compounds. Later we will discuss. You just remember this is square bracket. We should mention like this only. Don't write this parenthesis. Okay, this is wrong method. Okay, so this is the complex compound. Okay, now if you observe here this iron Fe, here Fe is the central atom. Am I right? Central atom in this complex. Now iron is a transition metal. Am I right? Transition metal. This cyanide, what about this one? This is the cyanide Cn minus. Okay, so this is called as ligand. Negative ligand. What we call it is ligand. Negative ligand. Ligand means here we have 6 ligands, cyanide ligands. These 6 ligands attached to this iron, to the central atom. Am I right? So this is the central metal atom. So these 6 ligands attached to this iron. Okay. Those pieces which are attached to the central atom is called as ligands. Here it process minus, so we call it is negative. So we call it is negative ligand. Okay. So this is positively charged pieces, potassium. Okay. So remember this. What is the value here? Potassium plus 1. Am I right? So it is plus 1 right here as subscript. And what about this 4? This is the charge on this molecule. Let's see. We can represent this structure as K plus FeCN6 4 minus. Okay, this 4 at right here, this one right here, potassium plus 1. This remaining structure is minus 4 minus. Okay, these are the two parts. This one is ligand, this one is central atom, this is the cation here. Okay, this is transition metal. Now transition metals can able to form complex compound. This is the entire structure is called as complex. Okay, clear? So let's say name of this one is potassium ferrocyanide. Okay, it is a complex. Where what is the transition metal there? Iron is the transition metals. Okay, let's see about this structure. Here FeC and taken 6 4 minus. Okay, clear? Up to 4 minus. So now this is the central atom. Am I right? Now calculate oxidation state of this iron. So oxidation state of iron in this complex. So iron, how many iron atoms here we have? only one. So taken X. Here we have to calculate oxidation state of iron. Clear? So now how many iron atoms here we have? Only one. So now taken as X. Why it is X? We don't know what is the oxidation state in this complex here. So taken as X. We have to calculate. Plus. How many cyanides here? 6 into. Each cyanide is having -1, negative. Okay. Here we have 6 ligands. Each one carries -1. Okay. So that is the cost. These on this structure, what is the value? -4. That equals to -1. Clear? Suppose it is 0, equals to 0. Suppose it is +2, equals to +2. Okay. So here we have 6 ligands, 6 into -1. Clear, Mark 2? So now calculate. 6 into -1 minus 6, that is equals to -4. X is equals to -4 plus 6. Then X equals to how much? +2. Okay. So in numerically we can represent these +2. Numerical with numerical +2. Okay. Roman number 2. Okay. Both are same. Both are same. So therefore, oxidation state of iron in FeCN taken 6 4 minus is 2 or +2, both are correct. Okay. So we can also calculate by using this entire formula also. So now it is a complex where iron process +2 oxidation state. Iron is clearly D block element and it is also called as transition metal. Okay. Transition metals can able to form complex. So it consists of ligand and K4 potassium is also. Okay. So number of atoms are together here. Okay. So let's say potassium ferrocyanide, this one. Okay. So by using this one, calculate oxidation state of iron in this. How many irons we have? 1. So taken as X plus how many potassiums? 4 potassiums here. Each potassium carries +1 charge. Remember this. Potassium always having +1. So here we have 4. So 4 into +1 plus 6 for cyanides. What is the value? -1. Is there any charge? 0. So equals to 0. So X plus 4 minus 6 equals 0. Then X minus 2 equals 0. X equals +2. Roman numbers are this one. Okay, both are same. Okay. So now let's see the structure of this one. What is the central atom here? This is the iron. How many cyanides attached to the central atom? 6. Okay. So now this is C triple bond N. Cyanide. C triple bond N. Cn means. Okay. C triple bond N. Cyanides. 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 This one is also C triple bond N. You should have to observe these type of lines here. These are dotted lines. These are solid or thick line, wedge line we call it is. We have separate topic already we have done in first year. Okay. So these thick lines represents, you should have to mention like this only. Okay, these are the thick lines. Sorry, wedge lines we call wedge. So this is thick line on the surface. This is the dotted line. What is the meaning of this here? If we observe one thing, this is the complex cyan, am I right? That is, what about here? 4 minus. So here how many ligands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ligands around the central atom. These are what type of ligand? Cyanide is a negative ligand. Negative ligand. Clear? Negative ligand. So now what about iron here? Central atom. And it is transition metal, am I right? What is the oxidation state of this central atom here? 2 plus 2. Clear? So these 6 surrounded by the around the iron here. So now this is the complex ion. Okay. So now what is the meaning of these lines here? This is three-dimensional representation. When we want to write on the paper, we have to show three-dimensional representation. We have to follow this concept here. These two lines means towards me on the board. Suppose this is the central atom. These two ligands towards me. Okay, and these two dotted lines ligands are behind the board, back side of the board. These two are front, these two are on the board. Is it clear, everyone? These two lines towards me, ligands like this. These two are exactly back side, okay, behind the board. Now these two are exactly on the board, on the paper, okay. Suppose these two ligands from central atom like this, okay. These two are towards back. These two are exactly on the board. Okay, clear? This is three-dimensional representation. Okay. So now complex compounds means where the central metal atom, okay, combines with negative ligands or neutral ligands also. Okay. It gives a complex compounds with characteristics properties is called as complex compounds. Let's see the definition. So before the definition, we have to analyze what is complex here. Okay. Have the very separate topic regarding this. We learn about more this where Cn is ligand. Now write the definition here. What is the definition of complex compounds here? Complex compounds, those which are combines with negative ligands. Ligands means those which are around central atom. Okay, negative ligands. Example Cn minus. Okay, or neutral ligands. For example, water molecule is also neutral ligand. Okay. And carbon monoxide is also neutral ligand. We will discuss later what is neutral ligand. No need here. Simply transition metals can able to form complex compounds. That is the topic. Okay. So now what is neutral ligand? What is the oxygen state of central atom? How to give the names to this complex compound? We have the separate topic. Okay. These are just properties of transition metals. You should keep in your mind. Okay. And ammonia. These are some of the important neutral ligands. Okay. Complex compounds, those which are combines with central metal ion like iron combines with negative ligands or neutral ligands, okay, giving complex species means parts, ions like that, species characteristics properties is called complex compound. Simple, central metal ions form the bonds around the ligands with ligands, that may be negative ligands or neutral ligands. Okay. For example, potassium ferrocyanide K4FeCN taken 6. It is a complex compound. Complex compound. Okay. Transition metals form number of complex compounds. What is the reason? Okay. They have comparatively small size ions. Transition metals ions are very small size ions. Okay. High ionic charges on transition metal ions. Suppose iron Fe+2 and also Fe+3. Ionic charges means these type of charges, +2, +3, +6, +7 also. Okay, clear? So ions means it having charge. Okay, high charges are possible. Okay, availability of d orbitals in transition metals for the bond formation. So d block elements means more d orbitals are available. You know very well that. Okay. So these are the reasons for the formation of the complex compounds by the transition metals. Clear? So this is the one of the example, but it is a complex compounds, potassium ferrocyanide. Okay, where it is transition. What is the oxidation state of iron here? +2. Okay, simple. So this is the central atom, which is called transition metal, surrounded by 6 ligands. Okay. And the next property in D block here, that is formation of interstitial compounds by transition metals. Interstitial compounds by the transition metals. Okay. So now what is interstitial here, or interstitial site we have? Okay. So what is the meaning of interstitial and interstitial compounds, and how these interstitial compounds are formed by the transition metals? Let's see before going to discuss. So transition metals are generally in crystalline state, crystalline state. Let's see. Suppose this is simply like cubic like structure, 3-dimensional space. This is the cube. What we call it is this cube, this space, 3-dimensional three-dimensional space. 3D space we have. Suppose it is the crystal. Suppose what we assume here, it is crystal. Crystal. Potassium crystal or sodium or NaCl. Okay. Suppose NaCl crystal. Suppose NaCl. So what are the constituent particles here? Sodium and chlorine particles. That means what particles are present in sodium chloride? Sodium and chloride. Constituent particles means sodium chloride here. This sodium chloride crystal consists sodium and chlorine simply. So maybe other crystal it may be. So just assume crystalline structure. Now it has three-dimensional space. Now it may be element also. Okay. Sodium like potassium like that. So now these are the atoms okay. So these are the, suppose this is the sodium, these are all sodium particles, okay, particles, what we call it is, okay, and atoms also we call it is sodium atoms, okay, so particles are, and we call it is constituent particles. What are the constituent particles of sodium chloride? Sodium and chloride. Suppose it is only sodium, all sodium particles are there. Okay. Suppose it is sodium chloride, sodium chlorine like that. The arrangement is. Okay. You should remember. So the same like structure also repeated. Entire the three-dimensional. Here we arrange the so these are all the particles. Suppose it is the sodium crystal, this is sodium atoms. Okay. So there is regular arrangement of sodium atoms in three-dimensional space, am I right? Regular, perfect arrangement. Okay. So let's see. Crystal lattice or space lattice. Crystal lattice or space lattice. Why? Because if we have to need to understand this topic, we have to follow this concept. What is interstitial site before? Okay. Crystal lattice or space lattice means here the regular arrangement particles of a crystal in three-dimensional space is called crystal lattice. Crystal lattice or space. The regular arrangement of particles of a crystal, this is a crystal. The regular arrangement of a particles of a crystal in three-dimensional space is called as crystal lattice. This is the entire crystal lattice. Okay. Okay. And that particles are called lattice points. Lattice points. Clear? These particles are called as lattice points. Lattice points. Suppose the arrangement of particles like this. This is also cube, suppose. Now these particles are like spheres, you know. So the arrangement is suppose like this. Okay. These are the spheres. So in between the spheres there is a gap, you know. There is a gap here. In between the arrangement of these spheres or particles, it left some space, gap. Am I right? This space is called as interstitial site. Okay. During the arrangement of particles, the spheres or particles are left some space in between the particles. Okay, so now this space is called as interstitial site. Interstitial site, that space or empty space is called as interstitial site. Interstitial site means empty space between the spheres in the crystal lattice. Okay, or we can also call it is this space void. Very, very important. Void. Okay, void, or another name of this hole, what we call it is hole. So this empty space is called as interstitial site in the crystalline lattice. Clear up to this one? So during the arrangement of particles in the crystal, there is some gaps between the spheres or particles. That gap is called as void or hole or interstitial site. This is the term, interstitial. Empty space, you just remember. Okay, clear? We have the topic solid state in second year. Okay. So now did you get the point about interstitial here? Simply empty space, you should remember that. In between the spheres or particles. Okay. So now how to form interstitial compounds? By the transition elements. Okay. Interstitial compounds those which are formed small size atoms like hydrogen, boron, carbon and nitrogen. These are the small size atoms. Okay, trapped in the crystal lattice are whole or void of interstitial site of crystal lattice. Okay. So how interstitial compounds are formed? By the crystal lattice of transition metals. Okay. Here suppose transition metal is a crystalline state. Okay. Crystalline state. Suppose iron, not iron. Is there any other crystalline? So now that arrangement is suppose this is the arrangement, this is the crystalline. It is a one particular transition element arrangement. One particular transition metal, suppose. These are all the, suppose it is titanium, suppose. Titanium, it is a transition metals. These are all titanium atoms only. There is no other. Only titanium. There is a perfect order. There is a perfect order of atoms or spheres or points. We call it is. Atoms are called as points here. Crystal lattice already we discussed. Okay. Suppose these are all the titanium atoms. This is the crystal of titanium, suppose. Okay. The arrangement of atoms are very perfect. Okay. So if the arrangement of particles in the solid or crystal is perfect, then we call it is stoichiometric. Stoichiometric. That means perfect order here. Okay. It is pure. What we call it is stoichiometric, or simply we call it is pure material. Okay. Now, what we call it is, there is a space, this space is called as, what we call it is, this space is called as interstitial site or void or hole. This entire it is called as crystal, and this is called as, these are called as lattice points or atoms or spheres. Am I right? Spheres. What we call it is lattice points, also we call it is lattice points. Okay. So interstitial compounds, those which are formed by the small size atoms like hydrogen, boron, carbon, like that, trapped in the crystal lattice or holes or void or interstitial side of crystalline lattice of transition metals. Now it is transition metals, titanium. It consists number of titanium atoms. Now suppose hydrogen is keep at this gap. In the interstitial side, these hydrogen atom is trapped. We added into interstitial side. Now it is not a pure titanium emerald. Why? Because it has some hydrogen. It is not a pure. There is some disturbance is there by adding hydrogen emerald. By adding hydrogen, it is expand. Why? Because the gaps are filled here. For existing, there is some expansion is takes place. Actually, some space is there. When we insert hydrogen here, what happened? This undergoes expansion. Some existence is there. For existing hydrogen atom here, it undergoes some expansion. The structure is expand. So now it is not a stoichiometric. Initially, it is very perfect order. It is called stoichiometric. When we insert the hydrogen or carbon, nitrogen, what happened? So some disorderliness takes place, some expansion takes place, right? So in that particular case, this arrangement is called as, after addition of hydrogen here, we call it is, this arrangement is called as non-stoichiometric. Non-stoichiometric. After trapping of hydrogen into the transition metal. Am I right? Now this, after hydrogen, we call it is, what we call it is interstitial compounds. After adding hydrogen in the gap of transition metals or interstitial side or crystal lattice, what happened it is, it becomes interstitial compounds of transition metals. Initially it is transition metals. When we add hydrogen, what happened? It become interstitial compounds. So by the adding hydrogen, its strength increases, okay, but density is decreases. Why? It is undergoes expand. Expansion means volume is high. Expansion means volume. Density is equals mass by volume. When we add more hydrogens, it more expand. More expand means volume is high here. More volume it can occupy. The density is, volume is increases, density is decreases. So in interstitial compounds, what happened? Its density is very less. Okay, due to the expansion of lattice. Remember this. And by this adding of hydrogen or carbon and nitrogen, their conductivity is increases. Conductivity is increases. Okay, remember this. Okay, let's see some important point. This is the definition. What is interstitial site and interstitial compounds by the transition metals. Okay. Now tell me, interstitial compounds of transition metals are stoichiometric or non-stoichiometric? Clearly non-stoichiometric. Okay. Right. These compounds, sir, usually non-stoichiometric compounds. Non-stoichiometric compounds. Okay. Let's see the examples here. titanium carbide and Fe3H VH 0.56, okay, 1.7. So vanadium is a transition, hydrogen is added. So 0.56 means there is not complete hydrogen in that position. Okay, a small quantity of hydrogen is out of 100, 0.56% is only added in the crystal. Clear? That is out of 100, 0.56 of hydrogen is added in the crystal. Okay, clear? That is the here 1.7 hydrogen is added. Okay, not 100%. Remember. So deficient hydrogen, not complete hydrogen. Deficient hydrogen means out of 100% we add 0.56 quantity of hydrogen is there. Okay, remember that is the meaning of 0.56, 1.7. Should remember. Okay, these are all example for interstitial compounds. Okay, initially titanium is there. It is stoichiometry crystal. When we add carbon, what happen? It will become non-stoichiometry, titanium carbide. Okay, so let's see. They are neither ionic nor covalent. Ionic, that means these compounds are not ionic, not a covalent mostly. Ratio of constituent particles in these compounds not indefinite. There is not proper ratio. For example, what is the meaning of this one? Ratio of atoms or constant particles in interstitial compounds are not in definite manner. That means, for example, H2O. What is the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen here? 2:1. That means 2 hydrogen atom, 1 oxygen atom. What is the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen here? 2:1. What are the constituent particles are present? Hydrogen and oxygen. What is their ratio here? 2:1 ratio. But such kind of ratio is not fixed in the case of interstitial compounds. That is the meaning of this terminology. Clear? So ratio of constant particles in these compounds not in a definite manner. So it is 0.56 like that. Not in correct proportion, in whole number ratio. Okay? And let's see, interstitial compounds have high melting point and boiling point. High melting point and boiling point. They are hard. They are brittle. They have conductivity. Titanium, zirconium, hafnium, vanadium, niobium can also form interstitial compounds. Okay, hydrogen occupies, very very important one, hydrogen occupies smaller tetrahedral void or hole or interstitial site, very very important. Suppose hydrogen is added in transition metals crystals, it occupies tetrahedral hole. Tetrahedral means okay, these are the three atoms. Now suppose these are the three balls, we can arrange like this, and now fourth ball exists on the surface of these three balls. Fourth ball keep at on the surface of, or exactly on the surface of this hole. This is the fourth ball. This arrangement is called as tetrahedral arrangement. Simple. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. That means this arrangement is simply like this, tetrahedral arrangement simply. Okay, this is this dotted line, these are the three atoms. Okay, this arrangement is called as tetrahedral arrangement here. Now there is a gap, this void is called as tetrahedral void or hole. Okay, so hydrogen occupies this hole. This is the small hole, this hydrogen occupies tetrahedral hole. This type of arrangement, in this case, the hydrogen we can able to insert in this space. Okay, now keep hydrogen here. Where hydrogen occupies in the crystalline lattice tetrahedral void. These are the three balls. Keep fourth ball on the junction of the three balls. Now there is a gap at that position. That position is called as tetrahedral void. Clear? Carbon and nitrogens occupy larger octahedral void. Octahedral void. See the structure. What is octahedral void? Suppose if you want to keep hydrogen, carbon and nitrogen in the interstitial site, now which type of holes they select? Octahedral void. Now what is the arrangement of octahedral hole? This is one sphere. Clear? This is the second one. This is the third one. Okay? Now clear mark 2? Okay. Now this center is called as, now there are 6 balls. 3 are bottom and 3 are upper. Okay. Take 3 balls below and keep 3 balls again on the upper. We get small hole here. Okay, it's total 6 balls here, 3 bottom, 3 upper. In between there is a gap. This one is called as octahedral void. Now the bit is where carbon and nitrogen occupies in the crystalline lattice of transition metals. Carbon and nitrogen, octahedral void or interstitial site. In the case of hydrogen, it is tetrahedral. It is only single ball on the surface, but here it is 3 balls we can arrange. How it is? Keep 3 balls bottom like this and again arrange 3 balls in the upper. There is a gap between above 3 and below 3. Okay, so there is gap is there. In that gap, that void is called as octahedral void. Just remember. at high temperature, at high temperature, stoichiometric compounds converted to non-stoichiometric compounds. Non-stoichiometric compounds. Let's see. For example, zinc oxide at cold condition, acts as stoichiometric, okay, but at high temperature it is in yellow color and non-stoichiometric. Okay students, and clear map to. So zinc oxide is a stoichiometric. At low temperature it is white also. In which color it is? White color. White means colorless actually, white. But at high temperature it converted in yellow and it acts as non-stoichiometric compound. Remember this. Transition metals which are source more than one oxidation state, for example Fe+2, Fe+3, multiple oxidation states they can able to show, okay, and their oxides and sulfides are interstitial compounds. That means, for example, iron oxide, example 1, it is also iron oxide, okay, where iron shows +2 oxidation state. It can able to show multiple oxidation, that means Fe+2, Fe+3 also, okay, where the percentage of oxygen is here 0.82. Here percentage of oxygen 0.94. So these are the interstitial compounds. And one more example, this is iron oxide, okay, they are oxides, and sulfides means, for example, these are this sulfide, transition metal. Iron is a transition metal, okay. Now this is interstitial compounds, am I right? So this sulfur consists 0.89% in the interstitial void, and here it is 0.96, okay. And let's see one more example. This is example 2. Example 3, tungsten, W means wolfram, where oxygen 2.88, here 2.92 oxygen. These are all interstitial voids, where these are oxides and these are the sulfides, okay. Remember this. And let's see properties of interstitial voids. What are the important properties of interstitial voids? Properties. Interstitial compounds chemically inert. Chemically inert means very less reactive. Okay, they are very hard, like diamond. Important borides are very strong, and borides are interstitial compounds like diamond. Example, borides. It is interstitial compound. Okay. They have high melting point than those of pure metals or parent metal. What is the meaning of this pure or parent metal here? Suppose this is titanium only, all are titanium suppose. If you keep hydrogen, this is parent, only titanium, pure metal, it is called as parent. When we keep hydrogen here, in this, hydrogen here, in this side, what happened? It is now interstitial compounds. Interstitial compounds, that means after adding hydrogen or carbon nitrogen, having higher melting point than original titanium. That is the meaning. Okay. Density of interstitial compounds less than the parent transition metal crystals. Suppose titanium has, in the crystalline arrangement, it has more density than its interstitial compounds after hydrogen. Okay, after hydrogen its density is less. So reason, initially only titanium it has more density. When we add hydrogen, its density is less. That is the point here. Density of interstitial compounds is less than the parent transition metals crystals. So reason is expansion of lattice after adding of hydrogen or nitrogen or carbon. Okay, its crystal is expand, then what happen? Volume is increases, then density is less. Clear? They retains their metallic conductivity. Even though we add hydrogen carbon, originally transition metals conduct good electrical conductors, okay, and heat conductors. Even though we add hydrogen and they become interstitial hydrates, they process a metallic conductivity. Okay, keep it in our mind. That is, these are the important properties of interstitial compounds. Okay. They are brittle, very hard. Okay. And one more important, chemical properties are nearly same for pure metals or interstitial compounds and interstitial compounds. But physical properties are different. Physical properties means their strength, melting point, okay, boiling points, hardness, brittle nature are different. Okay. So write one more each and every point and read it. If you have any doubt, ask me. Okay. Thank you, students. We'll meet on tomorrow again. Thank you very much.